They don't see what they're doing. They're going to shut it down. And it was such an important tourist season for South Africa. All those Europeans coming into the South African summer, absolutely huge, gone because of foolish political action on the part of South Africa's health minister.
Were foreign governments justified in placing travel restrictions on South Africa following the revelation of the Omicron variant of COVID-19? This was a question that was posed to us in a recent client webinar hosted by the Centre for Risk Analysis. If you enjoyed this content, please do become a subscriber to the CRA. There are links in the description below where you can access all of our content for free for 30 days. Enjoy. Diane in the Q&A says, please could you comment on the blow just dealt to South Africa in the decision by foreign powers to place travel bans on South Africa and other Southern African countries as a result of the emergence of the newest COVID variant. I think my view on this is that there are going to be lots of variants, that the pandemic has become endemic. We're never going to be completely rid of COVID, and that variants are going to be a natural part of the evolution of it. The question is, how severe will that be? Who wants to perhaps offer their view?
I'll have a go at it. So, Diane, I think that what happened in this latest case is that the way in which the information about the new variant was presented was too hasty. And I think that the responses of many overseas governments were also too hasty. In other words, the new variant was presented as being a very significant threat before it was known whether that was indeed the case or not. It seems to be the case that it is more transmissible than some other variants. It has not yet been established whether it is more lethal than other variants. And so in this case, I certainly think that more science should have been done before the announcement had been made, and also that governments should have been more cautious about introducing radical measures such as travel bans so quickly. It also appears that in this case, the variant is already in quite a number of countries apart from South Africa. It just happened that the announcement was made here, and then it was South Africa that was slapped with the travel bans. The costs of that, of course, are very great to the South African economy, because the tourism sector had hoped for a good December Christmas season this year after having had a terrible time during the pandemic. And it now seems that that season has also been ruined, at least in terms of foreign tourists. The cancellations have been streaming in very fast, of course, and for many operators of lodges and transport companies, etc., this has been a devastating blow.
Enjoying this analysis? Click here to sign up for our 30-day free trial for more content from the CIA.
Government is very quick to point to the many effects of the pandemic on our economy. But in our analysis, we've often argued that COVID has in fact been an accelerant of some of the underlying structural problems that have existed in this economy. So do you think that we're going to continue to see more headwinds from COVID, or do you think it's going to tilt more towards some of the own goals, rather, the kind of policy-related interventions by the government?
Yeah, well, as a rule, the policies of the South African government do as great to probably far greater damage to the economy, investor confidence, job creation than COVID does. When you get both of them together, then things become truly destructive, as we saw in the economic data for South Africa of last year. But you must remember, going into COVID 2 years ago, it's 2 years, it's December 2019, it's 2 years in now. Going into COVID, South Africa's growth rate was a third of the emerging market average, and its unemployment rate was, depending on how you define it, 4 or 5 times higher, 6 times higher than its emerging market peers. So in the sense, COVID became a great excuse for the South African government to explain the state of things in the country, and it remains that. Inside the country itself, I'm quite positive about the COVID picture. We've vaccinated about a third of adults. That you want to do a lot more. But levels of previous infection are estimated at very high rates. Sufficient to say that we're now in a position where between vaccination and previous infection, I don't know, 60, 70, 80% of South African adults have exposure or protection. And then the question becomes how dangerous are future variants? And the thinking is, yeah, there'll be breakthrough infections for vaccinated people, and you may become somewhat ill. But there's not a lot out there at the moment to say that there's a variant here now or one coming that's going to kill vast, and that's the critical thing about COVID. Remember that it's not a problem to have COVID. It's not a problem to be infected. It's not a problem to feel a bit down. The problem is happens when you get severely ill, your healthcare system's overwhelmed and people die. And the risks around that were very much greater 2 years ago when we went into that, and they are very much less today than was the case then. So domestically, I don't think I'm fairly positive. Going back to this latest thing, the question by Diane, the way that the South Africans handled it was appalling. I mean, to call a dramatic press conference, say these alarmist things when you don't actually know how dangerous this variant is, go into all the little horrors. Governments around the world, Boris Johnson, have no choice. If you sit here, if the South African health authorities sit down and tell the world, we have found an exceptionally dangerous thing that can kill people in your country, they have to do something politically. What they do might be useless at stopping at travel bans, etc. It's already in the countries, as John says, might slow down the entry of it a bit now, but it's gone, it's out, this thing's escaped. But politically, they must do something. And if they don't, the political opposition to them in those countries will seize the gap. So the South Africans created the opportunity for this to go wrong for them. It's not what some analysts say, well, are you saying we should conceal it? Of course, you can't conceal it. You should just announce nice and quietly and in a sort of reasonable and calm manner, you found a new variant. There are lots of variants being found all the time. This one's a very interesting variant. Send it off to the WHO, have a look at what they say. But the way we did it, I mean, I watched some of that and I thought, good God, they've shut down the entire tourist economy. They don't see what they're doing. They're going to shut it down. And it was such an important tourist season for South, all those Europeans coming into the South African summer, absolutely huge, gone because of foolish political action on the part of South Africa's health minister and his colleagues and the scientists that were on that call that should have known better. David.
Yeah, and Diane had a follow-up where she said, my worry is that the impact will be severe and disproportionate on the travel and tourism sector. So I think you've commented
devastation, on that. Diane, devastation. Absolutely right. And people that caused that need to be held accountable. And those are not people in foreign countries, free societies, democracies that are forced to take action after being told that there's a terribly great risk that's emerging in South Africa. It sits largely on the South Africans' own goal all the way. David.
Thanks for watching. If you are a client of the Centre for Risk Analysis, a quick note that we will be closed for the duration of December. We will, however, be releasing reports as well as our weekday videos up until the 15th of this month. My name is David Ansara. This is the CRA. Until next time, take care.